A chill wind whispers through the trees, rustling fallen leaves painted in hues of orange, gold, and crimson. It's Halloween night, a time when the mundane gives way to the mystical. Join us now as we delve into the shadowy corners of the past, tracing the evolution of this haunting holiday from its earliest roots to its modern-day incarnation. Our journey begins over 2,000 years ago in the heart of ancient Celtic lands. For the Celts, the year was divided into two halves, the light and the dark. On the eve of this transition, the Celts celebrated a festival known as Samhain. Falling on October 31st, Samhain marked a blurring of boundaries. Bonfires blazed, casting dancing shadows against the night, their flames intended to both ward off malevolent spirits and guide benevolent ones home. The carving of pumpkins, or originally turnips, into grotesque faces was intended to ward off evil spirits. Costumes, often worn as disguises, were meant to confuse wandering ghosts. The echoes of Samhain reverberate through the ages, but the story of Halloween doesn't end there. As centuries passed, the festival absorbed elements from other cultures. Two Roman festivals, Feralia and Pomona, left their mark on Halloween. Feralia, celebrated in late October, was a time to honor the dead and make offerings to appease their spirits. Pomona, a celebration of the harvest, honored the goddess of fruit and trees. Deep in the heart of ancient Celtic lands, a chill permeated the air. Samhain, marking the end of summer and the onset of winter, was upon them. It was a time when the boundaries between the physical world and the ethereal realm blurred. The Celts, deeply in tune with nature's rhythms, marked this time as a period of introspection. Bonfires were kindled, their flames reaching towards the inky black sky, serving as beacons for lost souls and deterrents against malevolent entities. Stories were shared around these crackling fires, tales whispered from generation to generation. To appease these otherworldly visitors, offerings of food and drink were left out. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the Celts prepared for the thinning veil. It was believed that during this time, the spirits of the departed could communicate with the living. Druids would cast runes, interpret omens, and consult with the spirits to gain insight into the coming year. To ward off unwanted visitors, costumes were donned, often grotesque masks and animal skins. Homes were decorated with protective symbols such as carved turnips and gourds, their hollowed-out insides lit by candles. Samhain was a night of celebration, fear, and reverence, a time to honor the dead, appease the spirits, and seek guidance for the future. The flickering flames of bonfires paint the faces around you in a constantly shifting dance of light and shadow. This is the legacy of Samhain, the ancient festival that would eventually evolve into the Halloween we know today. While the costumes and traditions have transformed over time, the core elements remain. As the Roman Empire expanded, its influence extended far beyond military conquests. Roman culture began to intertwine with the existing customs of the conquered territories. The Romans, much like the Celts, held a deep respect for the cycles of nature and the spirits of the departed. As the Romans encountered the Celtic Festival of Samhain, they recognized similarities with their own celebrations, particularly Feralia and Pomona. By acknowledging and adapting existing traditions, the Romans were able to solidify their rule while simultaneously enriching their own cultural landscape. This blending of Roman and Celtic traditions created a unique hybrid tradition that would eventually become the Halloween we know today. One of the most striking parallels between Roman and Celtic traditions lay in their reverence for the dead. The Romans celebrated Feralia in late October, a time dedicated to honoring deceased loved ones and making offerings to appease their spirits. During Feralia, Roman families would visit the tombs of their ancestors, bringing offerings of food, drink, and flowers. This act of remembrance and appeasement mirrored the Celtic tradition of honoring the dead during Samhain. The festival also involved feasting, games, and merriment. The convergence of Feralia and Samhain enriched the developing Halloween tradition. While Feralia provided a Roman counterpart to the Celtic reverence for the dead, the Festival of Pomona introduced an element of harvest celebration. Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit trees and orchards, was honored for her role in ensuring a bountiful harvest. Her festival, celebrated around the same time as Samhain and Feralia, brought a sense of abundance and gratitude to the season. The inclusion of Pomona's festival into the evolving Halloween tradition introduced a note of joyous celebration amidst the more somber aspects. This fusion of harvest festivities and otherworldly observances created a multifaceted celebration. As Christianity spread throughout Europe, it encountered deeply rooted pagan traditions, including the Celtic Festival of Samhain. In the 7th century, Pope Boniface IV designated November 1st as All Saints' Day, a day to honor all Christian saints. This strategic placement of All Saints' Day, coinciding with the traditional celebration of Samhain, was no coincidence. By overlaying a Christian observance onto a pagan festival, the Church aimed to redirect the focus from ancient deities and spirits to the veneration of Christian figures. The deep-seated traditions and beliefs associated with the ancient Celtic festival continued to resonate, blending with the newly established Christian observance. The blending of old and new provided a sense of continuity and familiarity. Despite the Church's best efforts to redirect the focus towards Christian saints, echoes of Samhain persisted. The tradition of lighting bonfires continued as part of All Saints' Day celebrations. The practice of dressing up in costumes evolved into a more light-hearted tradition. Children would dress as saints, angels, or biblical figures, participating in processions and receiving treats from their neighbors. The blending of Samhain traditions with All Saints' Day celebrations created a unique hybrid holiday, rich in symbolism and layered with meaning. The evolution of All Saints' Day didn't end with its assimilation of Samhain traditions. In the centuries that followed, the holiday underwent further transformations, eventually giving rise to the name Halloween and solidifying its association with the supernatural. The term Halloween is a shortened version of All Hallows' Eve, referring to the evening before All Saints' Day. Over time, the name Halloween became more widely used, particularly in regions where the influence of Samhain remained strong. This shift in terminology, while seemingly minor, reflects the gradual merging of Christian and pagan elements into a distinct holiday. As Halloween evolved, it retained its focus on the supernatural, but with a distinctly Christian lens. Stories of saints and miracles replaced tales of Celtic deities and spirits, while the emphasis shifted from appeasing the dead to remembering and honoring them. This transformation highlights the Church's success in shaping the narrative surrounding the holiday, imbuing it with Christian values and beliefs. The Halloween we know today, with its blend of spooky fun, costumes and treats, is a far cry from the ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. However, beneath the surface of modern celebrations lie the echoes of ancient beliefs and practices, transformed by centuries of cultural exchange and religious adaptation. As Europeans, particularly the Irish and Scottish, began to immigrate to America in significant numbers during the 19th century, they carried their traditions and folklore with them, including the celebration of Halloween. However, the holiday faced a challenging landscape in the New World where Puritan beliefs, deeply suspicious of anything deemed pagan or superstitious, initially hindered its widespread acceptance. Imagine arriving in a new land filled with both promise and uncertainty, clinging to the familiar customs and beliefs that provided a sense of continuity and connection to your heritage. For many immigrants, Halloween, with its blend of light-hearted revelry and acknowledgement of the supernatural, offered a taste of home, a way to preserve their cultural identity amidst the challenges of assimilation. However, America, in its early years, was a melting pot still simmering, not yet fully blended. The Puritan influence, with its strict moral code and aversion to anything deemed frivolous or otherworldly, cast a long shadow over the celebration of Halloween. Many communities frowned upon the holiday's association with the supernatural, considering it a vestige of paganism and superstition. Despite these initial obstacles, Halloween gradually gained a foothold in American culture. As immigrant communities grew and interacted, sharing their customs and traditions with their neighbors, the holiday's appeal began to spread beyond its initial cultural enclaves. The seeds of Halloween, once planted in the fertile ground of American soil, began to take root and flourish. The latter half of the 19th century witnessed a surge in popularity for Halloween in America. Several factors contributed to this shift, including the waning influence of Puritanism, a growing fascination with spiritualism and the occult, and a concerted effort to create a more unified American identity that embraced the cultural contributions of its diverse population. The rise of spiritualism, a belief system that emphasized communication with the dead, played a significant role in making the supernatural more palatable to the American public. Seances, Ouija boards, and ghost stories became popular forms of entertainment, blurring the lines between the realms of the living and the dead and creating a cultural climate more receptive to Halloween's themes. Simultaneously, as America sought to forge a national identity distinct from its European roots, there was a growing recognition of the value of cultural diversity. Holidays like Halloween, with their roots in both European and American traditions, provided an opportunity to celebrate the nation's multifaceted heritage. This period also saw the emergence of mass-produced Halloween decorations, costumes, and treats, further popularizing the holiday and transforming it into a commercial success. Halloween, once a relatively niche celebration, was becoming a mainstream event, embraced by Americans from various cultural backgrounds. By the early 20th century, Halloween had firmly established itself as a beloved American holiday. The once feared aspects of the supernatural had been largely embraced, transformed into sources of amusement and playful fright. Halloween parties, costume parades, and trick-or-treating became cherished traditions enjoyed by children and adults alike. The evolution of Halloween costumes reflected this shift towards light-hearted revelry. While early costumes in America often drew inspiration from religious figures or traditional folk characters, the 20th century saw a surge in costumes inspired by popular culture, fictional characters, and humorous themes. Halloween provided an opportunity for people to shed their everyday identities and embrace the transformative power of disguise. Trick-or-treating, a tradition with roots in both European and American customs, became a central part of the Halloween experience for children. The act of dressing up in costumes and going door-to-door requesting treats reinforced a sense of community and provided a safe outlet for mischief and playful fright. Halloween had come full circle. What began as an ancient Celtic festival, honoring the dead and acknowledging the thinning veil between worlds, had evolved into a uniquely American celebration of imagination, community, and playful embrace of the macabre. As the last flickering jack-o'-lantern fades and the veil between worlds settles back into place, we find ourselves at the end of our journey through Halloween's hidden origins. What began as a journey into the shadowy corners of the past has illuminated the remarkable resilience of tradition, the power of cultural exchange, and the enduring human fascination with the unknown. From the ancient Celtic Festival of Samhain to the Roman influence of Feralia and Pomona, blending ancestor worship with harvest celebrations, each layer of history has contributed to the rich tapestry of Halloween as we know it today. The Christian overlay of All Saints' Day, an attempt to assimilate pagan traditions, paradoxically provided a framework for their continuation, albeit in a transformed context. Halloween journeyed with immigrants to the New World, facing initial resistance from Puritan beliefs before ultimately capturing the American imagination. The rise of spiritualism and a growing fascination with the occult further fueled Halloween's popularity, transforming it into a beloved holiday, celebrating imagination, community, and a playful embrace of the macabre. Despite countless iterations, the core essence of Halloween, the acknowledgement of the supernatural, the honoring of the dead, and the thrill of the unknown, has persisted, proving that some stories are simply too captivating to be forgotten. Today, as children don their costumes and embark on trick-or-treating adventures, we are participating in a tradition that stretches back millennia. The jack-o'-lanterns that illuminate our doorsteps, the spooky stories shared around bonfires, and the costumes that allow us to momentarily shed our everyday identities are all echoes of ancient beliefs and practices. Halloween reminds us that the past is never truly gone, that its echoes reverberate in the present, shaping our beliefs, traditions, and even our fears. It's a holiday that invites us to confront our mortality, to acknowledge the mysteries that lie beyond our understanding, and to find joy in the face of the unknown. Perhaps that's the true magic of Halloween, its ability to transport us, if only for a night. If you liked what you saw, please remember to like, share, and subscribe to Hidden Origins Explained.